Hi, this is Donna Harcourt. Cindy has asked me to share a little tag that I've made for you today. It's getting close to Halloween, and so I thought you might enjoy this. This is what it looks like. It's the front, and I've used some newspaper, and a little Halloween tag, and a little key embellishment. And then it opens up, and on the inside we're going to use some hot glue today. Bottle cap with some stickers in it, and some little Spanish moss, and some stamps, and a stencil. And I'll post a picture for you to see of all the supplies that I used below this video. I just went to my local Walmart, and I bought some of these little Halloween stickers that they're made by Jolene, and I think they were like 99 cents, so they weren't very much. And then I just went out and got a couple assortments of Halloween stamps that I have used in the past. And this one is just a little Halloween, and I think it's Martha Stewart's. I'm not sure whose this one is, but it's a little Dracula guy. And then this again is also a Martha Stewart. The one thing that I find out about Martha Stewart's stamps is they don't seem to leave a very good impression on textured scrapbook paper, and so therefore I am going to be using a Identipen today if that imprint stamp doesn't come out correctly. So I'm going to use that today as well. Now we're going to get started. We're going to use distressed inks. I've got Rusty Hinge, Shabby Shutters, Walnut Stain, Dusty Concord, and Black Soot. Those are the ones I'm going to be using. I also have two tags here. One of the tags, the big one, is cut with bags, tags, boxes, and more off my Cricut, and it's 6.5 inches. And then I cut another one, but this time I used the blackout on it, and I made that one 5 inches. And that when I use blackout, I'm saying it doesn't have that little slit up there in the top. It just makes it solid. Then you're going to need a little piece of newspaper, and that little piece of newspaper is, let me see what you can see, that is 2.5 by 3 3/4 inch, and that looks, I just got any random piece of newspaper, can be any of that, so I have that today. And then I need like 2 little pop dots, or pieces of foam core is what they call that as well. So that's really, and a little bit of glossy accents, we'll use that for glue. Okay, and there might be a couple other things, but I'll tell you as we go along. Oh, here it is, a spray bottle with some water in it, and some archival ink. I like StazOn, some people like other brands. Whatever brand you have will be fine. Most of these can just be found in your local hobby store or any place. So, okay. So we're going to get started, and the first thing we're going to do is use our distressed inks. We're going to do both of these pieces exactly the same way. We're going to do both sides like that. We're going to start out with some of the Rusty Hinge, and we're going to just put it here and there, and I'm really not caring how much it goes on. I just want to put it on there. We're going to do both tags. If you're using textured cardstock, you want to get it pretty dark, like that, okay? So then I'm going to pick up some of the Shabby Shutters. I'm going to put some of the green on there, making it dark. Okay, there's some green. While I'm doing this, I want to thank Cindy for having me today. Cindy and I are very good friends. Not only are we friends, we are painting partners. We travel together when we're teaching. We also own a face painting business called Artistic Colors, which we just spent the entire weekend doing that, and had a great time and a great turnout, a lot of kids. So Cindy and I have been together just about 9 years, I think, now, so it's gone really fast, and we have a great time when we get together. Alright, I'm putting on the Dusty Concord, and just put it wherever you want. Now, as you can see, these colors are really pretty bright. Well, for Halloween, we don't want bright colors. So, therefore, what I'm going to do is to tone these colors down. I'm going to take some of this walnut stain distressed ink, and I'm lightly going to go over it all. Now, I'm not going to darken the whole thing, but I am going to go over it and just tone those colors down. Just like that. Okay? You can still see it coming through, but we want it to be dark, and also gets my edges dark. So I'm just toning the whole thing down, and again, I'm not worried about how I put it on there. I just kind of throwing it on there. Okay? Just tone those colors down. Don't want to get it too dark, because we're going to come back with a stencil and we're going to use the black soot, and that's going to make our stencil show up. Okay, so we have those two done, and we're going to, and you would do both sides like this. Okay? Then we're going to, next step we're going to take is we're going to just lightly spray it, mist it. We're going to let it sit there for a minute. The distressed inks are water activated and water based, and therefore, so when you spray water on top of a water based ink, it starts leaving spots. So as soon as you get the right spots that you like, the way the water is working, can you see this? This is actually changing, getting all those lovely areas in it. And I think it's about as much activation as I want right there. So I'm going to take my heater and we're going to dry it. Okay, and while those are continuing drying, I am going to take my piece of newspaper. It's going to be my next piece. And I'm going to pick up the black soot, and I'm going to just really blacken that whole thing. Not too dark, but not real light either. So just enough that you can see through it. This is kind of smeary because I should have probably wiped down the table from the water that was left on it. So let me do that really quick here. As I said, it's a water activated ink, and it sure did show up on there. That's okay. Sometimes the mistakes are the happy mistakes and make it look all the better. Okay, so now I'm putting that on there. Alright, now that that's all blackened, and I'm only going to do one side, I don't need to do the other side because this is going to be glued down. I'm going to just really work this up, wrinkle it up, get a lot of good scrunch wrinkles, pinch it, get all of that in there so I get a lot of texture in this piece. Really giving it a squish. Sometimes I can lay it down and really just pinch where I want it to pinch and get those wrinkles in there. Okay? Now, before I take it all out, I'm going to take this and I'm going to lightly go over all those spots. This gives it a really well-worn wrinkle look, and we're going to, anything that's left standing up is going to be highlighted more than the other. Okay, I think you can probably see that. Okay, see how wrinkled this is? Alright, now that we have that, we're going to lay that over the side, because we'll come back to it in a minute. We're going to take our big piece right here. Now again, we're going to use black soot. We're working on the back piece. We are going to take our stencil. I'm going to pull that up there. Move these things over. I have a lot of things on in my studio that I'm working on today, so my table's a little bit crowded. Anyway. Okay. So taking black soot, I'm going to put this stencil down. This stencil is trees, and it happens to be from Stencil Girl. So I'm going to rub those on there and get the stencil on there. It kind of looks like old dead trees once we get it on there. And this just happens to be a kind of a flimsy stencil. It's hard to work with because there's so many lines working in there. So I'm going to just keep on working with that. And really get that pretty dark so those trees will show up when we take this off of there. And keep holding on to it. And I go from the center out on this particular stencil to hold it on there. Okay. If I was doing this without, I'd do maybe a little better job. But see, that leaves that little tree lines on there. How cool is that? Okay, now that that's on there, we're going to go around the outside edges and really darken our edges. Okay? We're just working on the background one right now. Okay. I like to use my applicator when it's already got the color on it and I'm working with it. It just seems to make things go faster. Now I'm going to pick up some of them, the green on here, or the black, and go around the edges. And just blacken this up a little bit. This is our front cover. Okay? There we go. So we're pretty much, you're going to be sure you do both sides with that. This lid. Okay, and our next step will be that piece of newspaper that we just did. I'm going to take and put use of my glossy accents as my glue and go around the edges and get this on there. And glue this on. I guess you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just putting some glue around the edges of the glossy accent. And we're going to let the back one rest, and we're just putting the top one in right now. Be sure to keep your lid on the glossy accents all the time, otherwise it gets all clogged. Okay? So now I'm laying this down, making sure I've got my words up, kind of close to the bottom, maybe about 1/4 of an inch from the bottom. And then just kind of smooth it out and get that glued down. Isn't that a neat technique the way that looks? It actually looks like it's all wrinkled, but it's really not. So it's kind of a distressed look. Okay? Alright. Now while we're doing that, let me see, where's my tag? Here it is. Next step that I did was take my archival inks and I have a bat stamp that was from Martha Stewart. We're just really going to ink that up. Now Martha's stamps seem to be a little bit more hard than the stamps that are soft. I guess I'm used to using the clear stamps that are really easy, and I actually do like them a lot. This is going to go stamped just right to the top. Okay. Now you can see that it just didn't really work very well because it's a textured cardboard. So what I'll do is come back here in a few minutes with my marker and just fill that in. But I want to let that dry a few minutes before I do that. It'll be better. Okay, and then the next step to that is I have a key that I was using. Now let's see, where did I lay that at? Here it is. It actually has a little sticky on it, but it doesn't seem to be very sticky. So I'm going to take my glossy accents and we're just going to glue that on there. Okay. So I am putting that on there just about like that. Push it down, hold it there for a few minutes. Okay. And then the next step is I cut these little tags out on the Tim Holtz die cut, and then this is also the stamp that is Tim Holtz. And I'm going to take my black soot once again. I probably got enough on my applicator. I'm just going to go around the edges and just distress it a little bit with the black ink. Just shade it out. Doesn't seem like I can do anything without using some type of distress inks if I'm doing paper products or paper crafting. I'm just going to use 2 of these little foam dots. Put one in each end. Okay. Take the little protective plastic off. Alright. And I'm going to put this kind of sideways, just like that. So that pretty much takes care of that. That's how that's done. Now, to finish the back, this is kind of one of my special techniques. I like to use hot glue. But first of all, I guess we should stamp the bottom. I've got this special Martha Stewart stamp that I like a lot. It's a big one. It looks like a fence. I usually just use this half over because I really like that little bird on there. Once again, because it's textured, it doesn't seem to work as well. So I'll come back in with the marker for any areas that might still have some light color on it. But in the meantime, I'm just going to get that in there. And I really do put a lot of ink on it and try to get it to work as much as you can. Okay, so this is going to go right across the bottom. Really kind of push that. It seems like the stamp is so hard that it doesn't want to stamp the way I want it to. Okay, you can see where it is though. We've got it on there. And again, once again, there's a little bit of lightness in it. Maybe you like it that way. Otherwise, come back in and you can put that back in with the Identipen. Okay, and then the next one is we're going to do a little bit more stamping. So I find the stamp here. I'm sorry. Give me just a minute here. Here it is. Okay, I've got a bat that I like. I'm going to take and put a bat in here and stamp these bats. I'm going to put one up here in the corner. Again, this is just a clear stamp, and it's a soft stamp, and it seems to work really well on the textured glass. Or textured cardstock, I mean. And I got one right in here. And then on the back side, which I probably should have done this before because it's hard to stamp with that when it's wet like that, is put this bat on there and one up here and one right there. Okay, and then while I'm stamping, I'm going to get this little stamp out. He's like a little vampire. Get it on there pretty level. I'm going to stamp it on, ink it up really well, stamp it in, and again, I should have done it before I put the embellishments on the front, so I'm not really sure how that's going to work. And fairly well, and that's okay, we can come back with that. Okay, so now those two pieces are pretty much done. Now the next thing I'm going to do is use the hot glue. And I'm going to make it like a spider web up in the corner. As you can see, that spider web right up here in this corner right there. And I just start here from the center and I just pull it out. And you want to make it pretty thick. And then another one. And another one. Okay, and then we're going to put the little cross pieces in the middle. This is an old technique I used to use a lot. Okay, so we have to let that cool down before we can go on and put that in. And while that's cooling off, I have a bottle cap. And what I did is take these little Jolene Halloween stickers and take one of these off, and I just placed it right there in the middle. Okay? There we go. So now this has a little spider on it. Once again, take my glossy accents and use it liberally on the back and put it so it's going right up there towards spider web. Once that is dry, sometimes if we can just fan it, it will cool off. But let me tell you, just go ahead and tell you what to do with that. Once it's totally dry, I just take my black soot once again, and I went over the whole thing just like this, and really darkened that one corner up there, just like that. Then I added the little bottle cap spider in it. And we'll do that with the other one here in a few minutes once it hardens up. Okay. While we're waiting on that to happen, I have a little piece of black duct tape. We want this card to open, or this tag to open. So I have a little piece of duct tape, not very big. I just put it right here in the middle. Okay. And then this is going to go right there and hinge. Alright? While we're still waiting for that to dry, and now as you can see, this card hinges right here, and so it opens up. The next thing I'm going to do is take my hot glue gun again, go down along the bottom here, and take some Spanish moss that you might have, or grass, or anything that you have in the house that would work. And I'm just spreading this out and putting it at the bottom. Kind of gives it that eerie effect. And just let that on there and just let it kind of hang. Oops, maybe. Okay. Just break that off if it doesn't want to stay. So now you have that. This is almost ready to go. And where I had put the duct tape here on the front, I'm going to put the hot glue gun again. And add some more Spanish moss on there. I don't seem to have a lot of it right here on my desk with me. But anyway, you get the general idea of it. Add some of the Spanish moss there. Okay? And last but not least, you're going to take a couple pieces of twine. We're going to just fold it, and it'll go right through here, and you'll have your end of your tag. So when you're all done with it, it's going to look like this. You've got your twine, your tag. Now, if I would take this would make a perfect gift tag for a Halloween present. You could put it on this bag, and it'd be just really cute hanging on just a paper bag of some sort, and maybe a trick-or-treat bag, and put all the goodies in it for Halloween. Well, this is Donna, and I hope you've enjoyed my little tutorial today, and if you have any questions, just please let me know. Thanks, and have a great Halloween.